The haunting at mile marker 17. The road stretched endlessly into the abyss of night as a seasoned truck driver, Jake, made his way through an unfamiliar route. He had taken a shortcut, a lonely highway whispered about in roadside diners but rarely traveled. Desperation for time made him ignore the warnings. As the fog thickened and swallowed the moonlight, his CB radio came alive with static. A garbled voice broke through, calling for aid. Please, anyone. Stranded at mile marker 17. Jake, though skeptical, felt compelled to help. After all, truckers looked out for one another. Or so he thought. The GPS showed no such marker, yet Jake felt a chill as headlights revealed the faint outline of 17 etched into a rotting, forgotten signpost. He slowed his rig, peering into the darkness. Shapes loomed just beyond the beams, trees, or something else watching him. Pulling over, he grabbed a flashlight and stepped into the creeping mist. Every step toward the mile marker felt heavier, as if the earth resisted his approach. Then he stopped cold. A truck sat skewed across the ditch, its windows shattered and doors wide open, but no one inside. As Jake turned to call in what he saw, the CB crackled again. "Don't leave me here," it whispered a voice, distinctly feminine. The sound was close, too close to be from his radio. Spinning around, he scanned the fog, heart pounding. That's when she appeared. Clad in a tattered dress, a woman emerged from the mist, her face pale as if drained of life. She didn't seem solid, more like a shadow that had stepped out of a grave. Her lips trembled as she repeated the haunting plea, "Don't leave me here. Please, take me." Jake's instincts screamed to run, but the despair in her voice held him still. Fighting his fear, he asked what happened. Her voice wavered. "I was left here, years ago. He never came for me." She glanced toward the wrecked truck, and he realized the vehicle wasn't modern. Despite his growing terror, Jake climbed back into his rig, promising to call for help, but before he could reach the radio, something slammed against his truck. Peering outside, he saw it, her face plastered against the window, hollow eyes glaring through the glass. Revving the engine in panic, Jake sped away, the fog and shadows swallowing his path. Yet, no matter how far he drove, he couldn't shake her presence. In the rear view, her shadowy figure loomed closer, always on the edge of visibility. The landscape seemed to warp, mile markers counting down in reverse, the same gnarled trees appearing over and over. Jake realized he hadn't escaped. Time and space twisted, the haunting completing its sinister loop. When Jake's rig sputtered to a stop, the woman materialized directly in front of him, her pale hand tracing the outline of his windshield. She mouthed words he could barely hear through his panic. "Come back for me. I was waiting." Facing what seemed inevitable, Jake tried begging for forgiveness, even though he didn't understand what debt was his to own. She simply vanished, leaving him alone on a now empty highway. Except his GPS blinked, mile marker 17, repeated endlessly on the screen, until it powered off with a final hiss. Jake survived, but he was never the same. If you're bold enough to ask him about that night, he'll warn you of one thing: beware shortcuts on lonely highways. Some routes are forgotten for good reason, and some pleas for help are never meant to be answered. And as for mile marker 17, don't slow down. Don't stop. Because not every haunting is content to stay in the past. Gather closer to the fire and share this story, but remember, there are places out there waiting for their next unsuspecting traveler. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, like, share, and subscribe for more eerie campfire stories that won't just linger in your imagination, but follow you home.